7 bone-chilling fates that haunt us today. This will shock you forever. The air hung thick with fear as curious eyes stared into the darkened alley, where shadows twisted like secrets, waiting to tell their tales. People whispered legends of uncanny happenings, each story more spine-chilling than the last. A shiver ran down the back of your neck as you leaned closer, heart racing, wondering what awaited in the silent depths: a creature, a ghost, or perhaps the unresolved fates of lost souls. The stories were woven with eerie precision. Local kids swore they'd seen the ghost of Old Man Jenkins, who vanished without a trace 5 decades ago, only to reappear on stormy nights, glowing an unnatural blue. Can you imagine? The way they described his hollow eyes and sorrowful moans made your skin crawl. Then there was the tale of the abandoned house at the end of Willow Street. It was said that if you dared to knock, you'd hear the sounds of laughter echoing from within, laughter that belonged to no living person. Each story left you breathless, the kind of fear that wraps around your chest like a vice, squeezing tighter with every whispered word, and just when the tension peaked, a crash interrupted the murmurs of the crowd, drawing everyone's south gaze to the street's edge. Onlookers gasped, their eyes wide with disbelief. A street lamp flickered ominously, illuminating the twisted metal of an overturned car. "Did you see that?" someone shouted, pointing. "What happened?" Panic rippled through the spectators, feelings of dread weaving through the air like an unwelcome fog. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air suddenly grew tense. The crowd stood frozen, eyes darting from the car to the flickering lamp, and then, a child screamed, pointing. "Look!" she shouted, her voice carrying dread. A figure stumbled from the shadows, disheveled and wild-eyed, dragging something heavy behind her. Gasps filled the air as a chill settled into everyone's bones, unsettling and surreal. Was it just a trick of the light, or was that the glint of something sinister in her grip? What fate awaited those unlucky enough to cross her path? The crowd was torn between running away or moving closer, drawn like moths to a flame, desperate to uncover the darkness spilling forth into their lives. In that moment, everyone's heart echoed the same question: what will happen next? The figure lurched closer, her appearance growing clearer in the harsh, flickering light. It was a woman, her hair matted and her clothes torn, the remnants of what once might have been a modest dress now tattered and stained. As she dragged the object behind her, a sense of dread seeped deeper into the bones of the onlookers. "What is she doing?" a man muttered, his voice shaky. The tension surged. People pushed forward, faces pale, eyes wide. There was a mingling of curiosity and horror painting the scene. The crowd hung vying for answers, but all they received was silence, punctuated only by the woman's ragged breaths and the scraping sound of the heavy object she continued to drag. Then, with a swift, desperate movement, the woman dropped the object onto the ground. There was a dull thud that echoed in the stunned audience, cutting through the thick air like a knife. "Oh my God," someone gasped. As she stepped back, the dim light finally illuminated what she had been dragging. The collective intake of breath was audible. A rusted metal box, battered and old, sat ominously on the asphalt, coated in muck and grime. What secrets could it hold? Whispers rippled through the crowd. Had the legends come to life? Is it a coffin? A girl whimpered, pulling her friend closer. "Maybe it's just junk," retorted an older man, though his quivering hands told another story. Everyone's eyes were glued to the box, filled with a blend of fascination and disgust. What if it was filled with bones, or worse, something alive? As if sensing their gaze, the woman turned sharply. Her wild eyes met theirs, brimming with a mix of desperation and fury. You don't understand. She shouted, her voice raw and chaotic, sending shivers down spines. You have to help me. It isn't what you think. But what is it? A voice broke through. What do you want from us? Open it. She yelled back, her voice rising. You'll see. You'll all see. The air crackled with uncertainty. Fear tangled with morbid curiosity. Some stepped back, instinct screaming to flee, while others inched closer, hearts pounding in sync with the adrenaline coursing through their veins. What could be in that box? Secrets better left buried, or perhaps something that could change everything. A murmur began to build within the gathering, individuals turning to each other, faces contorted with confusion and apprehension. Should we? Someone whispered, the tension warped around them, thick and unyielding as the woman reached toward the box, her fingers trembling. She looked over her shoulder, her wild eyes pleading, you have to trust me, we're running out of time. Time for what? The questions hung in the air, unanswered, until a sudden scream shattered the fragile moment. Look! The shadows! Everyone turned in unison, peering into the dark alley where the shadows seemed to grow, twisting, writhing, as if alive. Panic surged through the crowd. This was no ordinary night. Whatever they were about to uncover within that box had the potential to awaken unspeakable forces. The woman took a step back, her breath catching. Tonight isn't just about this box, it's about everything we don't want to face. Clarity and terror welled within the hearts around her. What was once a curious crowd now held the weight of impending doom, condensed into a single moment. With a clash that silenced it all, the lid of the box began to creak open, revealing who knows what horrors or perhaps, hidden truths. Would they dare to look? As the figure stepped forward, bathed in the spectral light of the street lamp, the collective gasp rang out. What lurked within? Would they be changed forever by what they discovered next? A heavy silence enveloped the crowd, hearts racing, breath held tight in throats. The creaking of the box continued, each groan a reminder of the tension mounting in the air. With one final protest, the lid flung open, and the darkness within spilled out, clawing at the edges of the street lamp's weak glow. What is that? A young man whispered, inching forward on shaky feet, eyes unblinking. The woman's expression transformed from desperation to terror. It's not just a box, she cried, her voice shattering the wavering calm. It's a prison. An anchoring point for everything that's been trapped. A chill swept through the crowd, panic-stricken gasps flaring amongst them. The box trembled, a dark mist billowing out like smoke caught in an unseen wind, swirling around them, wrapping its icy fingers through their clothes, their skin. Whispers echoed from the mist, sweet and slithering, filling the air with a surreal dread. Get back! Someone shouted, but it was too late. Shadows flickered and danced, taking on shapes that contorted into the faces of their worst fears, lost loved ones, regrets, unfaceable truths. Frantic shouts filled the night as fear spiked higher, like a cacophony of rattling chains. The woman staggered to her feet, desperation morphing into fierce determination. You have to help me contain it. It shouldn't be released. Her eyes burned with a pleading ferocity. If it escapes, it will consume us all. What do you mean consumed? Another voice shrieked, shaking with disbelief. Consume us how? By revealing our secrets. By dragging our darkest fears into the light. We have to seal it back, or the darkness will spread. The urgency in her words dripped like sweat, sticky and heated amidst the chilling atmosphere. Just then, the shadows squirmed harder, coiling around unsuspecting legs like serpents seeking a fresh meal. An elderly woman shrieked, the sound slicing through the chaos, the power of terror whirlpooling around them. My daughter, she gasped, trembling as a figure surfaced from the mist, an echo of a long-lost memory. Murmurs erupted, a ripple of anguish blossoming in the crowd. Each face dragged into view showed pieces of their past moments they'd hoped to forget, now resurrected in grotesque clarity. Don't look! The woman yelled again, but the crowd's resolve was collapsing. Some hesitated, captivated by the nightmarish reflections, others cowered, struggling to escape the tightening grip of regret. With a trembling breath, she stepped forward, ready to face the truths she'd buried long ago. We need to close it. We can't let it win. As her hand plunged into the swirling mist, her scream cut through the frantic chaos. Help me. Time stretched, reality warped. Desperation ignited the crowd. Some rushed forward, pulled by the need to protect themselves. Others faltered, fear gnawing at their courage. Who would join her in this fight against the chaos spilling forth? Who was willing to confront their deepest traumas? Thunder cracked above, a storm brewing in the heavens, a mirror to their internal tempest. Just as the woman's fingers brushed the edge of the box, a terrible roar erupted from the darkness. It echoed like a siren wailing, desperate, hungry. A ripple passed through the crowd, panic overtaking them as they scattered, some fleeing, some standing paralyzed. Would anyone dare to help her seal the darkness away before it consumed them all? Trust me. The woman called out, her voice breaking against the panic. Please. We don't have much time. But the shadow swirled menacingly, growing bigger, more aggressive, as realization dawned. Some lost souls would stop at nothing to escape, and they were feeling desperate. Would the woman's courage be enough? Or would the darkness win? Just when one thought the chaos couldn't intensify, a piercing shriek arose from the void, promising things that shouldn't walk the earth. What awaited them inside that box? And who would be left standing when dawn broke? The woman's heart raced as the shadows writhed closer, their whispers multiplying into a taunting chorus. Doubt crept in like the creeping fog, knotting her stomach. She bit her lip, glancing at the scattering crowd. Where was her strength? Help me. She cried again, desperation cracking her voice. But her words fell like stones into the abyss of fear that had swallowed the street. One man hesitated, fear tangled with the flicker of courage. He took a step towards her, but the mist coiled around his ankle, sending him crashing to the ground. The echoes of anguished memories targeted him, his brother's face twisting with betrayal, eyes wide with judgment. No! He shouted, scrambling back, the terror radiating from him palpable. A piercing howl erupted from the box, breaking the moment. It was no longer just a whisper, it was a primal scream, a sound that clawed at their sanity. The air thickened with dread, squeezing the last threads of resolve. Shadows lunged out like hungry beasts, eager to snatch away the ones who lingered too long. The woman squinted against the oppressive gloom. We can't wait. We must fight this together. Suddenly a ripple surged through the crowd. A few had gathered the courage to approach, drawn by her fiery determination. One, an elderly man with wiry gray hair, stepped forward, shaking but resolute. I remember what I buried. I can help. Her heart lifted for a moment, hope fighting to break through despair. Yes. Then we need more. But with that, the darkness seethed closer, almost sensing the growing confidence. It lunged again, forming a gaping maw, revealing jagged teeth of memories forged in anguish. Stay together. She yelled, gathering the small group. We will face this head-on. Each person grasped hands, forming a trembling circle around the box. They breathed in unison, hearts pounding a desperate rhythm tethering them to the moment. But as they tightened their grip, more figures emerged from the mist, shadowy manifestations of their worst fears standing strong, demanding attention. The woman's vision sharpened as she focused on the box. Feed it your strength. Remember what you have to lose. She urged them, hoping her voice could rise above the looming darkness. From the depths of the shadows, glowing hinges of memories flickered, places of joy twisted into nightmares. One woman whimpered as her child's laughter turned into cries of despair, a face peering through the mist, pleading, "Why did you let me go? Fight it." The woman shouted again, voice cracking. "These are lies. You can reclaim the light." In that moment, something shifted. Their collective emotions surged forward, igniting a flicker of resistance. The shadows recoiled, the creatures straining against the brightness blossoming from their hands. It felt like a brief flash of sunrise after an agonizing night, but shadows are relentless. They lunged with renewed fury, targeting the elder who had stood up. Memories of regret wrapped around him, whispering accusations. "You failed us." A disembodied voice roared from the mist, the guilt exploding like a festering wound. "Don't listen," the woman cried, trying to reach him. The edges of the bubble they created flickered, instability creeping in. Around her, the hands began to loosen. A missed chance, damn it, no. With every ounce of strength, she concentrated on dispelling the shadows. "We won't let fear dictate us." But the darkness erupted from the box with a deafening roar, surging toward them like an avalanche, drowning out all light and hope. The connection began to falter. Panic surged as more scattered, hearts racing in fear. The elderly man's face contorted in horror, memories wound too tightly, strangling him. With that chaos looming ever larger, the woman recognized the ultimate truth: sacrifice was inevitable, but at what cost? The box pulsed, revealing more than the memories. It held a deeper secret, one that could change everything. Water dripped from the sky, warmth turning cold, the storm breaking over them. With one last desperate scream, she reached out to the swirling maw of darkness. Would she unravel the mystery hidden in the depths? Or would they all become absorbed, lost to the unending shadows? Just as the shadows lunged, she felt a stirring within her, a sliver of light, a whisper of hope. But that light felt unsteady, fragile amidst the encroaching darkness. What awaited her in that abyss? Time was slipping away fast. The ground trembled beneath their feet as the shadows lunged, and with it, a surge of instinct kicked in. The woman closed her eyes tightly, letting out a cry that echoed with her fear and fury. "Now!" The command slipped from her lips like a bolt of lightning, igniting the hearts of those gathered. The air shimmered as they focused, drawing strength from each other's resolve. Memories flooded their minds, bittersweet but powerful, faces lit with laughter, moments that felt eternal, even in their pain. One by one, they whispered, "We remember," and the shadows shuddered, the darkness faltering at the relentless wave of emotional defiance. Around them, the street dimmed, the mist swirling like a storm. Confessions spilled free, secrets long buried clawed their way to the surface. "I should have protected you," a woman cried, grief written across her face. Another shouted, "I let you down." The shadows recoiled, howling in frustration, their grasp loosening ever so slightly as the truth ignited the very essence of the being surrounding the box. Yet, from the deepest corner of the darkness, a voice boomed, rich with malice. "Fools! You think you can escape your past?" It tightened around the elderly man again, the instant recognition in the glimmer of his eyes. "You think he deserves redemption?" The man fell to his knees, memories unfurling like storm clouds, swirling with regret and twisted love. "Fight it," the woman urged, her desperation breaking through. "This is your past trying to control you. It has no power here." But sorrow was a treacherous opponent. The elder shook, shoulders trembling under the weight of his guilt. I can't," his voice cracked, almost a whisper, as memories engulfed him. His children's laughter turned to screams, the faces of lost family twisted with rage and betrayal. With a grinding sense of urgency, the woman reached out, grasping his hand tightly. Warmth sparked between them, a connection that pulled him back. "You are not your mistakes," she pleaded, pushing against the chaos, her voice risen above the cacophony. Around them, the others began to break free, renewed clarity washing over their faces. They grasped the light emerging from their hands, a flicker battling darkness. "We're with you," they called, their voices merging into one unbreakable force. Then, a shudder rippled through the ground, and the very air crackled. "It won't end like this," the dark voice bellowed, the shadows writhing in agony. It hurled itself at them, the malevolence coiling like a serpent ready to strike. Without thinking, the woman clenched her jaw and turned, facing the box straight on. "We demand your end. You feed off our fear, but we choose to stand together." Her words rippled across the crowd, echoing with an undeniable truth. An explosion echoed, a burst of light as she willed the shadows back, melding her voice with those around her. Then, as if sensing a final push, each person poured memories of love and hope into the center of their circle, creating a luminous beacon amidst the tempest. With a deafening roar, the shadows recoiled, but a surge of doubt lurked in the corners of her mind, threatening to engulf the fragile victory. A realization hit her: this wasn't just about fighting shadows. It was about confronting the truth inside themselves. Just when the crowd began to cheer, a crack in their resolve deepened. The shadows won't fade easily. They'll come for us again. Before her resolve could shatter, she turned. Was there a way to defeat the darkness forever? The growing storm loomed unspeakably close, and the gleaming box pulsed, thrumming with secrets that begged to be unveiled. What had they truly unleashed? Would unveiling the truth lead them to victory or coffin their souls within shadows forever? Time was dwindling, their shaky hope hanging like a thread in the maelstrom. The blast of light faded, leaving a haunting afterimage in their minds. As the shadows writhed, the woman felt a cold dread wash over her. What if this was only the beginning? Their momentary triumph was nothing but an ember in a raging storm. She glanced around. Faces worn with effort and doubt stared back at her. Fear gripped her heart, mingling with the fire of hope. "Stay strong," she shouted, rallying the group. "We have come this far. We can't back down now." Yet the ground trembled once more, and the air thickened with despair. The dark voice returned, a monstrous echo that seemed to invade their very souls. "You think your memories will save you? You are but ants against a titan." The elderly man, still battling his demons, trembled harder. His face was a mask of anguish. I can feel them. They're coming back for me." His voice quivered dangerously close to breaking, and she saw the flicker of shadows creep around him, whispering doubts, taunting him. "Don't let them in," the woman cried, desperation threading through her words. "You have the strength. Remember your love. Those laughs. Your family." A flicker of recognition sparked in his eyes. "But I failed them." Before she could respond, the shadows lunged again, pulling him deeper into their grasp. The others around them gasped, reaching out despite their own fears. They formed a tighter circle, tethering themselves to one another. Their determination was palpable, a beacon in the chaos. "We won't lose anyone," they shouted, chaining their voices into a harmonious roar. The elderly man's throat tightened, his own guilt and sorrow crashing against the support around him. Struggling with an inner tempest, he finally found his voice. "I remember my daughter's laughter. I remember joy." A blue light erupted from within him, a vivid contrast against the looming darkness. It pushed back fiercely, swirling into a luminous sphere that encapsulated the group. The shadows screeched in terror, recoiling at the brightness they feared. "Together!" the woman cried again, a fierce urgency surging through her. "What's buried will be unearthed. We will confront it." With each heartbeat, the truthiness of their shared memories began forming a powerful cyclone. It spiraled upwards, creating a shield against the hungry shadows. "We remember our joy. We remember our pain. We are each other's memories," they shouted, pouring their souls into the light. Yet, in the swirling depths, darkness twisted and warped in a desperate rage. Strangely, it began to shift, becoming a mosaic of their pasts, a combination of dreams and nightmares. Terrifying faces materialized, old friends turned foes, haunting memories twisting into grotesque forms, calling out their regrets and losses. "Why did you let me go?" a voice echoed, haunting and familiar. It belonged to a friend they'd lost, a reminder of unresolved guilt that lingered like a ghost. The crowd faltered, their confidence wavering. "Do you think you can outrun your past? You are nothing." The woman's heart raced, hammering against her chest. But amidst the chaos, she felt something stir within her. "No!" she shouted, forcing her voice past the fear. That's not the truth. We are not defined by our failures. As she spoke, a rift in the swirling chaos flared open, a doorway to understanding. She saw it clearly. The key to defeating the darkness sat within their acceptance of both pain and love. Trust yourselves. Trust each other. With renewed vigor, every single person raised their hands, sending pulsing streams of light into the void. But somewhere in that torrent, the shadows lurked close, searching for a glimmer of weakness to exploit. What lay beyond the veil of darkness? Would they withstand its fierce storm or crumble under the burden of their omitted truths? The woman's heart raced. Could they truly summon the strength to face what the shadows were really hiding? It felt like the moment before a storm breaks, and she knew the stakes just got impossibly higher. The whirlwind of light surged, seemingly unstoppable, but the shadows fought back with a viciousness that threatened to consume them all. The woman watched in horror as the brilliant sphere flickered, the darkness clawing at the edges, desperate to snuff out their flickering hope. Hold on, she urged, feeling the mounting pressure around them. The whispers intensified, each word a sharp dagger stabbing at their hearts. You are alone. You will always be alone. The voice mocked, wrapping around her, squeezing her chest tighter. The elderly man beside her, eyes wide with terror, began to falter. What if they're right? What if we're just fighting shadows? He gasped, his voice cracking. Panic surged within her. She reached for him, anchoring him to the circle of light. No. Listen to the love you carry. She cried fervently, squeezing his hand. That love is real. It brought us this far. Encouraged by her conviction, he took a deep breath, the glow inside him brightening momentarily. As if sensing a shift, the shadows grew louder, their chaos spiraling. Dark figures twisted and morphed, dragging the memories they feared through the surface. Visions of past regrets flared painfully in front of them, giants with gnashing teeth that threatened to pull them under. Do you see? The chilling voice hissed, reverberating through the hollow chest of the darkness. This is your truth. You are bound by failure, tortured by the ghosts of your deeds. I refuse. The woman shouted, her voice cracking like thunder, breaking through the noise. We are more than our mistakes. We will overcome. She felt the energy of the group galvanizing, a tremor of shared resolve coursing through everyone, but the shadows pressed closer, the air growing thick. She could see her own face materialize, stained with every regret she had buried deep. You let them down. The specter of herself shrieked. They will never forgive you. Her heart stuttered, fear gripping her once more. How could they triumph against something that drew on their very essence? She faltered, fear cascading over her like waves. Suddenly, from within the swirling light, a memory broke free. A childhood sunset golden and serene, laughter dancing on the breeze. The laughter of her late brother, a summer evening, all smiles and warmth. She could almost hear it now. You have to let them in. She shouted, her heart racing. Remember. Remember what they meant to you. She implored the group. Faces contorted with sadness began to relax, light flickering back in their eyes. Don't fight this alone. We have each other. With that clarity, the elderly man whispered, my daughter. The blue light within him swelled farther, a furious wave washing over him. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled again, as if struck by the tidal force of their love. Around them, the collective memories collided, sparks of light erupting as they came together, blossoming brighter. Echoes of love and hope surged like wildfire. The void screamed in agony as it lost its grip, a shadow of darkness splintering under the intensity of their unity, but then, a sudden stillness descended. The air became charged, and a creeping unease wormed its way back into their hearts. It won't end like this, the voice sneered, now a growl, reverberating all around. You think memories will protect you? They will betray you. A tangible shiver ran through the group, the light flickering uncertainly. They collectively held their breath, knowing that they teetered on the edge of something truly dreadful. A path of unknowns lay before them, riddled with doubts. "Prepare yourselves," the woman yelled, feeling the weight of impending doom settle around her. "Whatever this leads to, we face it together." But the shadows danced closer still, crafting a terrible vision from their failures, a final twist waiting to unfold. What form would this chaos take? What haunting echoes awaited them? As darkness surged, one thing was clear: the very essence of who they were would be put to the ultimate test. What horrors lay in wait? And what grim choice would they have to make next? The air was thick with tension, and there was no turning back now. The darkness surged forward, a living entity, eager to swallow them whole. The woman felt the icy fingers of despair crawling up her spine. A heavy silence blanketed them, each heartbeat thunderous in the oppressive void. "We can't give in. We can't let it win." Her desperate scream echoed, rising above the shadows that were closing in, a beacon amidst the despair. The elderly man next to her gripped her hand tighter, his resolve flickering like a dying candle. But the shadows twisted, forming grotesque figures that loomed close, their mouths yawning wide as if to swallow her words. "You are weak. Each breath you take is a reminder of your failures." The voice was relentless, like nails on a chalkboard, tearing at their sanity, and then, her brother's laughter, the last vestige of warmth and hope, flickered again in her mind. She reached deep, recalling the joy they shared, the moments they spent entwined in pure happiness. "That love is a shield," she shouted, and as if her words breathed life into the memory, a golden glow flickered alight within her heart. The elderly man's face softened. "I remember my son." His eyes glinted, reflecting newfound courage. The group rallied around the memory, their shared love igniting like a wildfire. "Remember your loved ones. Let them fuel our fight," the woman shouted, steeling herself against the darkness. She could see others starting to lift their chins, eyes swirling with shimmering memories. Suddenly, a shadowy figure loomed larger, a monstrous version of her fears, eyes burning with an insatiable hunger. "Foolish mortals. Your memories will betray you. They are shackles." It lunged at them, sending a shockwave of dread rippling through the group. "Hold on to each other," she pleaded, but doubt crept in. Can we really trust these fleeting images? Will love hold its ground against this? The whisper twisted in her mind, wrapping around her heart, threatening to squeeze the breath from her lungs. Raw panic surged in her chest. The figures around her teetered on the brink of collapse. A wave of vulnerability washed over her, and she felt it in them, her fears mirrored everywhere, a dreaded connection binding them. A feeling surged within her, a fierce tenacity she hadn't realized was buried deep. "No. We are not alone." Just then, in her desperation, she thought of her brother again, of all that he had given her. Wasn't his love the strongest bond of all? Then she noticed the others, gritting their teeth, summoning their own thundering memories. Echoes of laughter, gentle hands, and forgiving hearts melded together in an unbreakable chain. "Think of your love," she shouted. "It is more powerful than this darkness. We are more powerful." The courage she felt was palpable, vibrating through her bones, igniting every spirit in their circle. With that rallying cry, they pushed together, a surge of humanity against the shadows that fought back with snarling desperation. For an instant, the darkness recoiled as if struck. The air crackled, and the ground beneath them shimmered with a fierce, radiant light, but just when the tide seemed to turn, the darkness retorted, a booming laugh slicing through their hope. "You still cling to those pathetic memories? They are but illusions," it thundered, the shadows swirling faster, reaching for their hearts. "What if it's true?" The woman gasped, wrestling her own doubts as they crept back. Was it all just a trick of the light? They struggled in fear, their resolve bobbing like a lifeboat in a storm. The air shuddered with uncertainty, the shadowy figures reforming with renewed vigor. Face the truth of your existence. What will you choose when it boils down to survival? Her stomach churned. The time for decisions was near. What would they sacrifice for freedom? And ultimately, who would pay the price? They braced themselves for what lay ahead, knowing a critical choice loomed large, a choice that could alter their destinies forever. Would they march forward, unified by love, or would the darkness tear them apart? As fear gripped them, one anguished question lingered: which path would they take when the final moment arrived? The weight of fate pressed heavily in the air, and they all knew, the reckoning was fast approaching. The darkness surged forward in a relentless wave, echoing with that sinister laughter. The air crackled and throbbed, vibrating with the weight of their uncertainty. She could see the shadows creeping back, twisting and writhing, hungry for despair once more. The woman clenched her fists, grounding herself in the memories of her brother. Together, she shouted, fueled with a desperate urgency. Hold fast to those we love. But doubt clung like fog. Faces around her grew pale, their inner light dimming as fear choked their voices. One by one, thoughts of their loved ones flickered like dying embers. A woman beside her trembled, her eyes wide, searching. What if we're wrong? The shadows seemed to lean closer, drinking deeply from the trepidation surrounding them. See? The vile voice croaked, dripping with malice. You are fools to dwell in the past. Your memories are nothing but chains, anchoring you to this. Step forward, and you can be free. A chill ran through her bones. No! She screamed, these memories are our strength, not our weakness. But the shadows didn't listen. They shifted, expanding and contracting, creating grotesque visions of loss. She glimpsed her brother, his laughter replaced by bitter tears. No, this can't be true, she thought, clawing at the air. It's a trick. The elderly man beside her seemed to age a decade in seconds. What if we really are bound by our past? He whispered, his voice trembling with fear. She felt her heart drop. The truth of the darkness pressed upon her, heavy and suffocating. The memories, once a balm, now felt like knives. Could they be shackles? If they let go of their love, would the shadows devour them? Or would facing their reality bring release? Suddenly, darkness coalesced into a figure shrouded in mist, eyes like cold flames pinning them all. When the final hour strikes, your choices will be revealed. Who will you sacrifice? It hissed, the icy breath slithering around her. Each word sank into her like a blade. For the first time, the thought settled, what if the shadows would not only take memories but demand a cost? The group faltered, uncertainty festering like a wound. She breathed a fire into her chest. No matter what it takes, we won't break. She steadied her voice, rising against the tide of despair. United we are stronger than any illusion. Yet, even as she spoke, the flickering doubts around her morphed into monstrous versions of their fears. One by one, shadows swallowed pieces of their identities. Her brother's laughter lost, the elderly man's memories of his son dimming. What will you let them take? The shadow figure prowled closer, horrid laughter echoing in its wake, its eyes seething. Their love? Their legacy? Or will you choose to save yourselves? The frantic pulse in her veins matched the pounding of their hearts. They all stood teetering on the edge, caught between battling for love and risk losing themselves for it. Choose. The figure demanded, darkness swirling violently, a chaotic tempest threatening to break them all apart. The air crackled with the weight of a choice too great to bear. In that moment, surrounded by fading clarity and thickening shadows, realization washed over her. What if holding on meant losing everything, but letting go might free them? With a piercing wail, the vision sharpened, and her question morphed into a howl of defiance. What are we willing to sacrifice? As the chilling tension enveloped them, they finally stood at the crossroads of fate, lanterns of love flickering under the weight of the unknown. Would they march into their hearts or let the darkness consume everything? A singular light glimmered on the horizon, but the path to it was blurred by the vast shadows. With every passing second, a choice loomed and everything they held dear hung in the balance. The moment trembled, heavy with all that could shatter. What awaited them at the end of this dark path? Would love triumph, or was the darkness too powerful to overcome? The silence was deafening. The collective breath held tight as the shadows danced, almost mocking them. Pressure wrapped around everyone like a suffocating shroud, and dread grew thicker with every heartbeat. The figure in the mist twisted closer, eyes narrowing with malicious glee. "You can't escape your past," it rasped, its voice a haunting echo against the silhouettes. "You have to choose. What will it be?" A lump formed in the woman's throat. Was there really a way out? She dared to glance at the faces around her. The elderly man, trembling yet resolute. The woman whose child's laughter echoed painfully in her mind, brows knitted in worry. A lost boy standing at the edge, an anxious look painting his features. "Listen!" she shouted, desperation lacing her voice. "What we choose to hold or let go isn't just about our fears, it's about what moves us beyond this moment." With every ounce of courage she could muster, she pushed forward, determination flaring within her. The shadows writhed at her feet, boisterous voices calling out memories she'd rather forget. But her brother's laughter clung to her heart like a lifeline. "These memories don't enslave us. They remind us of who we are, of love, loss, joy. They are our strength, not a burden." The wind picked up, whispers mingled with the crackling energy in the air. There they stood, a nexus of power willing to face down the past. The elderly man gripped her hand tightly, his face bright with clarity. "I remember my daughter's smile," he said, voice steady. "I can't forsake that love." A spark ignited. Others began murmuring, sharing their own sacred memories, faces lighting up with recognition. "I remember the family dinners," a woman said, tears cascading down her cheeks. A man joined her, "The summer picnics in the park, they're still a part of me." The glowing warmth radiated like a sun breaking through storm clouds. A chorus of voices built, wrapping around the blackness like a rope woven from light. Everything they cherished entangled in the powerful swirl of love. Fury erupted from the darkness, a howl splitting the air. "You think your memories can save you?" it screeched, the shadows writhing violently, yet even they seemed to falter against the overwhelming warmth. "You will pay the price." The moment hung in the balance as she prepared for a fight unlike any other. "We don't fear you," she yelled, feeling the breeze of courage wrap around them tighter. "With every breath, we take back our power." One by one, the group strained against the pull of the darkness, feeling its grip wane. More memories shattered free, each enlightening the grim façade, pouring into the growing vortex of hope. Voices echoed in unison, reliving long-lost laughter, sweet smiles, the smell of rain on dry earth, the feeling of soft hands intertwined. The shadows jerked back, disoriented by the essence of pure connection. "Stop it!" the voice whined, shrieking with rage. But they didn't stop. They pushed harder, pouring their shared love, their momentum, until light burst forth like fireworks. Then, in the frenzy of it all, the figures started to dissolve, finding solace in the light. Each shadowed silhouette twisted into familiar shapes, a child's grin framed by sunlight, a warm embrace from a lost friend, a love once carried but never released. The collective strength of those flashes pulsed outward, a surge of brilliance that threatened to consume the darkness. It screamed, thrashing wildly, yet it weakened as memories of happiness flooded the air, overwhelming the horrific figures pitted against them. "Now!" the woman shouted, and as the fabric of night trembled beneath their unity, they surged forward together, eyes locked on the swirling maelstrom. A deafening crack split the air, erupting into a riot of colors as the shadows shrieked and collapsed into themselves. She felt every heartbeat synchronized with the group, the amalgamation of hope, love, and bravery piercing through the veil of despair for the last time. With a final radiating shout, the barrier breached. The shadows evaporated, swallowed whole by light. A silence settled in, one so sweet it felt heavy in the air, like a long-awaited embrace. She stood there, trembling yet triumphant. They had faced down the darkness and emerged whole. The crowd blinked, wonder painted across their faces. Slowly, they turned to one another, shocked laughter bubbling up into tears, soon echoing through the dimly lit street. Relief washed over them, and her heart swelled as joy flickered back into each fractured soul. The woman turned her gaze to the empty space once occupied by shadows, her chest rising and falling with a newfound strength. "We did this together," she said, voice shaky but resolute. "And we can face whatever comes next together, too." Hope sprouted, planting roots deep in the ground. Each face around her rekindled a spark. As dawn began to break, painting the sky in warm hues of orange and pink, she knew they would carry this strength with them. They had each other, and that made all the difference. As she took a breath, feeling the cool morning air wrap around her, she smiled, heart swelling with love and certainty this was their new beginning. And as the sun rose, illuminating the world anew, the journey had just begun. You need to subscribe now. You don't want to miss more exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now, it really feeds the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything.